Welcome back to Rank and File Sports with Jonah and Connor. Today we're going to be continuing our scheduled previews with the Boise State Broncos. We will be previewing every Power 4 team as well as a few Group of 5 teams, so please make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on your favorite team's video as well as our official game-by-game predictions over the summer. This schedule for Boise State is really not terrible. The biggest game is obviously on October 4th against Notre Dame on the road. It's going to be really, really tough there. And then the Mountain West game that's going to be the trickiest is UNLV at home. But other than that, it's pretty easy. So with 6 home games and 6 away games, going to give it a schedule difficulty of 2.5 out of 10.
The season off on the road against USF is going to be a slightly tricky game, in my opinion. USF finished around 500, was middle of the pack in the AAC. But Boise State, obviously, the big story around them is that they're losing Ashton Genty to the NFL draft, but they are returning Madsen at quarterback. So the hope is that they can reciprocate the success that they had last season, maybe still get into the college football playoffs. But I think this USF team might give them a run for their money just because it is the first game of the season. We are going to favor the Broncos in this one, giving them a 65% chance to get the win on the road. Then a home game against Eastern Washington. Shouldn't be too much trouble here, even with the problem of having to replace Ashton Genty. Should be a fairly easy game for Boise State, giving them a 100% chance in this one going into their first bye week.
Starting up Mountain West play on the road after that bye week, facing Air Force. The Falcons not great last season. Not really expecting them to compete with Boise State here. About a 75% chance of a Broncos victory. Headed back to the Blue Field to play Appalachian State. The Mountaineers, again, not very good last season. Boise State with the home field advantage should have about an 80% chance to win this game. Heading into their first super difficult matchup of the season, got to go on the road and play Notre Dame. This one, especially without Ashton Genty, it's tough to see Boise State being able to compete. Notre Dame did lose a lot, but by this point, we're almost halfway through the season. Notre Dame has the home field advantage. Don't really see a way Boise State wins this one. It's about a 15% chance of a road victory. Things do get a little bit easier for at least one game, though, with New Mexico coming to town. The Lobos, not a very good team last year, and Boise State with the home field advantage should have about a 75% chance to win this one. Now, the matchup that's going to decide a lot of things in the Mountain West and potentially Boise State's playoff hopes, UNLV at home. This is going to be a huge game for both teams because both teams know what's on the line. The college football playoff berth comes with a lot of money that they can use towards NIL. So, that being said, we really have no idea here. Both of these teams are very even, and Boise State had the advantage last season when they had Ashton Genty. Now they don't. This is about a 50-50 split right here. After that, though, you got Nevada on the road. Worst team in the Mountain West last season. Most likely going to be the same thing this year. An 85% chance for a road victory. And then to cap off the 7 game stretch, back at home with Fresno State. Shouldn't be terribly difficult. About a 75% chance of a victory for the Broncos.
On the road, coming out of that second bye week to face the San Diego State Aztecs. San Diego State had a rather disappointing season last year. At times in the past couple of years, they had signs of being a competitive team, but that has not been the case the last couple of seasons. Shouldn't be too much of a problem for the Broncos, especially at this point in the season, even on the road, giving them an 80% chance in this one. Then back home to face Colorado State. Colorado State has shown that they can be a competitive team. Obviously, 2 years ago, we had that game against Colorado in Boulder that went down to the wire. It was a very competitive game. But last season, Colorado State wasn't quite at that level. They did finish third in the conference and still can put up a fight. But with this game being at home and with Boise State returning Maddox Madsen at quarterback and having that continuity, they should be able to get the win here, giving them a 70% chance in this one. And then finishing the season on the road against Utah State. Once again, Utah State was around a 500 team, not the most competitive team. I think their best game might have come against Utah. Overall, Boise State should be the better team. Whoever they get to replace Ashton Genty is gonna do well enough because I'm sure the offensive line is going to keep that same rhythm and momentum going from this past season. So Boise State has a 70% chance to get a victory on the road here to end their season.
Yeah, just looking at the schedule as a whole, I can't really see them doing worse than 10-2. I think they lose at Notre Dame. Other than that, I mean, at South Florida maybe to start the season or at home against UNLV. I think they pick up a loss in one of those two games.
Yeah, I definitely think the loss of Ashton Genty is going to be the big story of this season. How can they rebound from that? Just because he was their entire offense last season. Guy was averaging probably close to 30 carries a game. It's going to be interesting to see if they can either reciprocate or replicate that level of rushing attack with whoever steps into the starting role this year, or if they switch their offensive game plan and rely more on Maddox Madsen to get the job done through the air. So it should be fairly interesting. I think that UNLV game is a toss-up just because it's the battle of different off seasons. UNLV has gotten a lot of people out of the transfer portal. Obviously, Alex Orchie is coming in from Michigan and is most likely going to be the starting quarterback going into next season. And obviously, Boise State, like I said, has Maddox Madsen returning. So you have that battle. And then obviously, with Ashton Genty leaving, it's going to be a completely different game compared to last year during the regular season and during the conference championship. So I think they're on a crash course to have two games once again, but that Notre Dame game is going to be a tough battle for them, and then that USF game is going to be interesting at the start of the season just to see how they rebound from it. So I'm with you. I think they can't do any better than they did last season, but I can't see them falling off completely, even with the departure of Ashton Genty.
Yeah, I think 10-2 is probably the worst case scenario for this Boise State team. And that's actually what we're going to predict. Last season, the final record was 12-2, picking up their final loss in the quarterfinal game against Penn State. The projected win total considerably lower at 8.4 and 3.6, but realistically, they're going to pick up all of those wins that are, 75% and higher, which is why we are going with 10-2 for Boise State. I could also see 11-1. It's definitely not out of the question. So, thank you guys so much for watching. Please make sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you in our next video.